Hi there, I'm Mrs McTaggart, and in this video we're going to be looking at an introductory lesson to angles and talking about how we name and describe angles. And this is normally seen at primary school, but it's a really important part that sometimes gets forgotten when you're in first or second year, and it's necessary for when you come to do angles a lot further up the school. These little skills you learn today about naming angles become assumed knowledge further on. So it's always good to recap this before we start angles and stuff in first year. So let's have a little look. So here are some images of some very commonly used angles. There's 6 we're going to see in all, and normally I would put these in a little table, but they fit better on a screen just doing 3 at a time. So I'm going to start with the one in the middle. This is a really recognisable angle. It's got a little square in the corner, and what that square means is that this angle is exactly 90 degrees. It's the corner of, say, the page of your jotter or a page of a book or the corner of your ruler. And 90 degrees has got a very special name. It's called a right angle. So the minute you see that little square, that's telling you that this is a right angle. The square might not always be there. Further up in maths, there are sometimes certain conditions where you'll see lines meeting and joining, and it's up to you to recognise that it's 90. So a right angle is always denoted by a square. Anything less than that is this little one here, so anything less than 90 degrees, and it's a wee cute angle, so it's called acute. And then to the right, we've got anything slightly bigger than a right angle, but there is a condition on this, bigger than a right angle, so between 90 and then the next important one, which is 180. And this is a bigger angle, so I like to think, well, big, obese, it sounds a bit like obese, it's obtuse. So this is an obtuse angle. And it's anything between 90 and 180. Because 180 is another special angle maybe recognised. So here is a 180 degrees angle, and I just basically do that by drawing what's called a straight line. So it is exactly 180. It is half of your compass. It is from north to south, from east to west. It is you doing a complete about turn, going from one direction to the other. So it's a straight line, and it just gets called a straight angle. And it is recognisable as being 180 degrees. It's also 2 right angles put together. So 2 corners of pages meeting up make a straight angle. And then I'm going to jump over to this angle here, this one. I just drew a full circle there. So it's actually called a full turn. And a full turn is made up from 2 complete straight lines like that, or 4 90-degree angles. And a full turn is exactly 360 degrees. So if you do a full turn roundabout, you've pirouetted 360 degrees. And then this one that's in between, that's just over 180 but still under 360, is called a reflex angle. And I always talk about my knee. So imagine this is your leg and this is your knee. Have you ever heard of the phrase of a doctor testing your reflexes? Well, they'll hit your knee and see how far your knee comes up or moves back the way. Most people's knees will only go to 180 degrees, but when you bend it, you're coming this way and you're coming over the 180 mark. So this is called a reflex. Anyway, that is some random connection I've got with reflex and that. So these are all the angles you need to be able to recognise just by looking at them and remember the words and go, that's obtuse, that's reflex. So that's about describing or classifying it. So if I was to describe you, I would say, oh, you're a male or a female, or you're tall or you're short. To name you, I would give you your actual name using a specific set of letters. Same goes for angles. So when we name angles, we use capital letters, and we put the 3 letters, it has to be 3 letters, we put them in order, and the middle one is the most important one. The middle one is the one that's at the vertex. This is the vertex, the angle we're actually talking about. So vertex is a fancy word for the point or an angle. So if I wanted to name this angle, I want you to think about like walking around it. You would start at T, you would go to P, and then you would walk to V. So to name this angle, we would say that this is angle TPV. So I should mention this little symbol here is a notation for angle. I remember when I was at school, we used to put like a little arrow above the P, but that seems to have gone now. And we put an angle sign at the front. It looks like a wee bit like a beak or a squished L. Now that's not its only name. It could also be named in reverse as angle VPT, starting at V and travel into P and back to T again. So the letters that are on the arms or the legs coming out of the angle are the ones that go either side of it. As long as P's in the middle, we're doing good here. So naming this angle would be saying, oh, that's angle TPV. Describing it would be saying that it's acute. Let's have a look at another one. So in this diagram, I've got two angles. I've got this angle here, which has a star in the middle. So I'm just going to trace the route I went there. I went from, I can't see the letter, what's that letter there, D. So I went from F, I forgot my angle sign. So I went from F to D to G. And I could also do that backwards. I could say GDF as well. Now the hashtag angle is going from G to D to J. So that would be angle G to D to J. So naming them has to involve the 3 letters. Let's look at a couple more. So they don't always disappear in a straightforward angle like that. This time we've got in the triangle. So a lot of the times at National 5, etc. in maths, or even at higher, you're asked to do things with certain angles and we'll give you the letter and you have to know which angle that is. So if I said angle BAC, the middle letter is an important one. So angle BAC, I would look at the picture and go, oh, B to A to C. So that's the one with the dot in it. So the one with the dot is angle BAC. If I asked you to find angle BCA, we would go B to C to A. So that's the one with the star. So angle BCA. And then the one that's left that I've not asked you about, the one with the triangle in it, well, to surround that, I'd go from A to B to C. So that is angle ABC. Again, all of these can be flipped and reversed, but it's more common that you have to be able to tell where is the angle they're talking about rather than name it. We're just getting introduced to a later skill. So here are a couple more. So as I said, quite often at this point I would call pupils out and I would say, right, okay, I want you to come and put a mark at angle DCA. And then they would come out to board and think, where is DCA? So have a wee think, where do you think DCA to go is going to be? So just follow the route with your finger or your line of sight, D to C to A. The angle I surround is angle C, so that would be this one. That would be angle DCA. If I asked you to find me, let's say a different one, let's go for angle EFA this time. Well, let's start at E and go E to F. And I know I passed through C, but let's go all the way to A. So that would be that angle there. Remember, the middle letter is the important one, so that would be that one. And then the last thing is I would give you these 6 examples to try yourself in class, and I would ask you to name and describe. And all the time people get confused, and if I say name it, you'll tell me obtuse. Please remember, your name is individual and unique. It uses letters. Your description is talking about how you look. So this one here, I would say is angle DHC. And I'm looking for this side of it, which is a really big one. That is a reflex angle. On my next one, let's follow the letters. So this one would be angle GDE. It's less than a right angle, so this one is acute. This one is P to N to M, and it's a straight angle. If you ever need to test a straight angle or a right angle, remember you can use the edge of your page, corner of your page, or a ruler. K to F to J is ever so slightly bigger than a right angle, making it obtuse. And I would simply go K to F to J. This one, oh, I'm going to go this way because I like to write pal. Angle P to A to L, it's bigger than 90, so it's also obtuse. And then the last one's name would be angle U to B to T. And then that one is a big angle again, so that one is reflex. So I hope that's helped clear up the difference between naming and describing angles. Thanks so much for watching.